In this particular YouTube video, we're going to take a look at logging into the NeSA software and some of the very basic features of NeSA. If you take a look at my desktop here with my lovely Bradford, the main feature that you really need to pay attention to is the fact that I have the NeSA software already downloaded. We don't have the NeSA software downloaded on every computer yet, but we are hoping to get to that, particularly in the computer labs. So if you take a look at the NeSA software and you double click on it, that NeSA icon will appear on the desktop automatically when the software is installed. So if you don't see that icon, the software is not on that computer yet. Once we've clicked on it, it's opened up. There's the tutorials, the practice test, check for learning, and the NeSA test. There's also the exit button. The tutorials, I would recommend looking at the tutorial yourself and going through it with your kids, but I'm not going to do that. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. We are going to go through the practice test. Check for learning, we will talk about in a later video, in which you can actually set up a check for learning assessment of your own using the check for learning database and have the kids take the test online. The NeSA test is what your kids will need to select when they're taking the actual test. But for today, we're going to look at the practice test. If we're going to practice using the software, I'm going to select reading for the moment. And I'm just going to go with 3rd grade right now. And select test, practice test. There's not a whole lot of other options they can do. You just follow instructions on the screen to get to the practice test. On the actual screen, you'll still be selecting your subject, selecting your grade, and you'll probably have to select which section you want to get into. I'm not sure how it's going to look, but that's probably how it's going to go. Then you click continue once you're sure that you have selected the test that you want. Take a look at this. This is your login screen. For right now with the practice test, everybody's username will be guest. Everyone's password is going to be practice. And everyone's session ID is going to be 10. When your students actually log into the test on test day, they will have a test session ticket. These tickets will be printed off and given to each teacher so that they can distribute them at test time. What I would recommend doing is giving your students the test session ticket after they have gotten to the correct window. I would get them to the correct window first. Make sure they select the right test so they're taking the same test at the same time. Then go ahead and have them enter their information from their test session ticket. Have them go ahead and enter their username and their password and their ID, and tell them once they've done that not to do anything until I had come around and double checked and made sure that they had everything in there correctly. You can double check their username and their session ID with no problem. They may black out with the little black dots that you typically see the password. I'm not sure if they will actually display that. If the kid does type in the wrong password and you can't see it, catch that and they click continue, it will tell them incorrect password, try again. That's okay. You can go back, make sure they put in the right password this time. Once you're sure that everybody's okay to go, or just that particular student, you can tell that student to go ahead and continue. It will load the test, and it will start with the instructions. I would tell all of the students to wait on the instructions page until we had everybody logged into the test and ready to read the instructions together. Because you will have a text to read to them, to talk to them about what they need to do, and they will be able to follow along with you on this screen reading. So I would make sure that they stayed right here until I was ready to go. Once you've read them, the instructions, once you've answered any questions that anyone has, once you've double-checked to make sure nobody needs a bathroom break or to get a drink, then I would go ahead and tell everyone at once to select Take Test. The other thing you may need to do before having them take the test is to look at the settings. If they have visual accommodations, if they need it magnified or if they need different colors, You can select that in the settings. This will only be available, though, if you've already indicated that they need these visual accommodations. If this is the case, talk to Mrs. Hurt right away so she can contact NDE. But to my understanding, we don't have any students who need those accommodations at this time. So once you're sure that everybody's set on their settings, which again, if they don't have visual accommodations, you don't need to even worry about that part. And once you've got the directions read and you're ready to go, click Take Test, and it takes them to the test. The settings button is always going to be up here, whether you need it or not, so you don't really need to worry about that. We're going to go over all of these features in a separate video, since I have only a limited amount of time with this video. But what I do want to show you before we move on anywhere else, before the video ends, is pause test and help. If a student clicks pause test, it blanks the screen so nobody else can see it. This is a good option if a student needs to go to the restroom or get a drink, or if they get sick. However, keep in mind that while it's okay for them to leave the room while they're testing, they should only leave the room one at a time, for security purposes, to make sure that they are not discussing the test with someone else. Really, I think your best bet is to make sure that everybody who's taking the test has got their bathroom break, got their drink, is ready to go before even starting. But should something come up, you can always pause and click resume. The pause test will last for 15 minutes before it logs a student out. If a student gets logged out for any reason, whether it's because they paused the test and were gone more than 15 minutes, or because the network went down, or their computer crashed, or any reason like that, they can still get into the test. There's two ways that can happen. The first and simplest way is that if it's been less than 90 minutes since they initially logged into the test, they can use their test session ticket, log in just like they did before, and proceed. It may not have saved their answers. They may have to go back and refill in any answers they've already done. If it's been more than 90 minutes since they initially logged into the test, let's say that they logged into the test, they worked for about an hour and 15 minutes, and then suddenly they felt sick, and they ran to the restroom, and they didn't come back for a while. Well, if it's been more than 90 minutes since they first logged in, they may not be able to get back into the test with their test session ticket. The first thing I would have them do, no matter how long it's been, is try the test session ticket and see if it works. If that ticket does not work the way it did the first time, I would have them try it one more time. If it doesn't work 2 times in a row, contact Mrs. Hurt or someone else in the building who is able to reactivate that test session ticket. Mrs. Hurt will be training some extra people on being able to reactivate tickets in case she is gone on one of the days that the NeSA testing occurs. We haven't decided who that will be just yet, but we will let you know closer to test time. If they can't get in and they need that test session ticket reactivated, make sure that you get it done ASAP, because you are limited to that day. You want the kids to finish the test on that day. Otherwise, it becomes much more complicated. So, if it's been less than 90 minutes since initial login, they should be able to just use their test session ticket the same way that they did before. If it's been more than 90 minutes, you will need to contact Mrs. Hurt or someone else and have them reactivate the test session ticket. In any case, make sure that you get the section done that day. Keep in mind that each subject has 2 sections. Reading has sections 1 and 2, math has sections 1 and 2, and science has section 1 and 2. So they're broken up. You only need to finish 1 section in a day's time. So if you've done section 1 of reading and you don't think that the student will be able to finish section 2 by the end of the day, don't start section 2. It's no problem. I'm going to stop here because I'm about out of time. No, I didn't go over help. Help. Click on the question mark. It will help and show you all these lovely features that we're going to go over in the next video. You can click the X or you can click close you have to scroll up and down to see them all, but you can click X or close in order to close the window. Basically, we've shown you logging in, pausing the test, talked about when you might have to reactivate a test session ticket, and how to access the help. We've also talked about settings, which are really only necessary if you have students who need visual accommodations, in which case they will have a special password. At this time, I do not know of any that do. Check our next video for information on all these lovely different features and buttons.